Okay, Nate. All right, we'll call this meeting of the Public Safety Committee to order. Roll call, please.
John,
Here.
Seth,
Here.
Crystal, Todd,
Here.
and Steve will not be here tonight.
Okay. Number 2, first period for public comment. No public here. We got anything? Where'd Nate go?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. Number 3, review and approval of July 8th, 2025 meeting minutes.
This is Crystal, and I'd move approval of the minutes from July 8th, 2025 meeting with no additions or corrections.
This is Seth. I'd second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, operator license approvals. I assume that's you.
Yep, we've got 2 of them. We have a Derek I had to look at this, see what it says. Moran? Moran? I'm not sure. Can't read his writing, but it is for the Fortney, and it's a new one. Took the class June 27th. So that one is ready to go. And then we've got Deanna Heitman for Aldi, also a new one. Took the class August 7th. So I believe, Rick, you've looked through both of these and they're all good to go on their background checks.
Todd, I move to approve the operator licenses.
Moved by Todd,
This is Seth. I'd second.
second by Seth. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Number 5, discussion with possible action on Vernon Chamber Wine Walk application scheduled for September 6th, 2025.
Okay, this is similar to what they did last year, September 6th. It would run from, they have on here 5 or 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So not sure what their starting date time is, but I believe it's 6. I'm sorry, I got my glasses on, so I can't read as well as I can normally, but so the listing I did have out in your packet, they did add Valley Stewardship Network and Wonder State after that they sent that, so that's why it's handwritten on there. So I believe, and they did a special event application, but since they've had this in the past, we didn't really bring that forward. So nothing really has changed other than the chamber director on this one. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
This is Crystal. I would move that we approve the operator license. Whoops, excuse me, wrong one. That we approve the Viroqua Chamber Walk wine application scheduled for September 6th, 2025.
And this is Todd. I'll second the motion.
Moved by Crystal, second by Todd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Police Department mid-year report. It's all yours, Rick.
I got 4 different handouts, 4 different breakdowns for you guys to have. The first one you have is August. This is just, I did this one just because I saw this with our kind of a skeleton crew. So I mean by skeleton crew, we're usually just having one officer on from 5 to 5 and then 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. So 24-hour coverage, one officer on, and then it depends on if I'm working or if the assistant chief, who has actually been filling all the vacations right now, where he's at, but he's actually one of those skeleton crews. But 218 calls for service. And then you see I wrote on the second page, and it is back to back, plus 41 cases. So how, I guess, law enforcement works across the state is the 218 could be anything. So like the very last one or second to last one would be like a weapons call. We'd only had 1. However, we actually had more than that was commissioned in a crime. So then it goes to the cases. So then we make a case for it because there might be an arrest for it. There'll be charges for it. So a total of 259, which is averages about 14 to 18 roughly per day. Each day is a little bit different, but on average, so 16 calls for service per day, and then 8 calls per officer if you really divide it by 2 then. A lot of those could be quick and easy. But like, for example, the pursuit that we just had, this weekend, a lot of man hours after the fact. Those mental calls where we're sitting down at the hospital for 12 hours. So some of your constituents might realize like, I haven't seen anybody in a while. It's because our only officer is sitting at the hospital for, 12, 13 hours until we can get somebody to transport, which is another thing that I will just mention is just with, the crew that we have. Typically, if we had 2 officers on, we would be bringing that person who would be committed to a mental health facility, usually Winnebago. Sometimes we get lucky and it's going to Gunderson. But if we got to go to Winnebago, we would just send an officer, the extra car, not extra car, on the second car on. So there's always 1 car here. But if we only have 1 car that's working, we are paying for a security firm, Talon is actually the only one in the area, to transport for us. So that is a bill that will reflect against our budget. The only good thing is sometimes I can get reimbursed for it if they were already, I guess, committed by the courts to a group home. So then the courts, wherever they were, if I have a Trumbull County or Chippewa County person that is court committed to a group home in Viroqua, I can send that bill to Chippewa or, Trumbull County, they pay it. But if they are not court committed, that is going to be the responsibility of the city. So that is August. It's pretty self-explanatory, but like I said, like for example, on the first page, you'll see battery 1. We actually had a total of 5 battery cases, but only 1 was found unfounded. So there was, was misunderstanding type of thing. There was no grounds, no criminal intent, but the other ones turned into those cases where an arrest or charges have been filed. Okay, this one is your total year calls for service. So this is every section that we go to. And if you remember also, it always goes to the most severity of the case. So if we get a traffic complaint and then it turns into an accident, we check it under accident. If we get an accident, turns into an OWI, it goes under OWI. So there is no, I guess, fudging numbers. There's only 1 call for whatever the reason that we are dispatched to. So again, this is January 1st through the 20th of August here. You can look through those. A lot of them are actually kind of right on par with the previous years. We are up. So at the very last page, we've had 13 calls for service. 568 of those turn into cases. So again, cases, when people say, oh, you've only had 568 cases, that is only like arrests or citations, bail jumping or something like that. Those are what we call like uniform crime reporting that we have to do. So like if you read, because some of them can say it like La Crosse will put, we had 14,000 cases. That is everything. They have another section, so they call it cases and then they just call it UCR. So I just do it for calls for service and then cases.
So for you, Rick, UCR and cases are
Are the same.
use them synonymously. Okay. That's interesting. Rick, that number on the mental health,
35 or
that's the numbers you have there next to it, 51 and 9. Those are for the year or at this point in time?
no, I just threw that out there so you knew. So in 2024, we had 51 for the total year, all year. We're at 35. So we're not like far off. But since COVID, 2023, we had 9. 2022, we had 11. So they extremely jumped up in the last 2 years. And I couldn't really tell you why.
And I had a question on page 3. What are errands?
Errands would be for another department within the city. So like I did an errand today for Public Works for the stoplights. But that would be also, we did it for the fair. Fair would be a bank run. We did an errand for them. Yes, not us, a citizen would run out. So we would run the quit shop for him.
Hey, you're running.
Yeah, yeah, we siphon out of our own
Yeah.
gas.
Rick, you talked a little bit about the mental health stuff taking a good amount of time. Is there anything else on here that, while the numbers may be low, the amount of time per call that it consumes is heavy? Is there anything in particular you could? I know that's kind of a random question, maybe.
No, I mean, they're very heavy. So, I mean, I don't know what our average would be. I would say our lowest time we've ever been at VMH is probably 8 hours. So each one of those is 8 to, I think the most we had was 24, 25 hours there. I mean, it just is what it is. That's not even at the local level. Everybody's having this. This is a state issue. This is a federal issue. It's just, we have to find housing. And then right now, what a lot of the mental health facilities are doing is they're letting them sit at their local hospitals. So like Winnebago would say, all right, yep, we can probably take them. Can you do a blood test? Yep. And if they have to sober up a little bit, then we wait 12 hours for them to even accept them. Then it's like, oh, can you do a COVID test? Can you do this type of TB test? And they're delaying it just because they might not have their room yet. So they're waiting for people to be, let out or anything else. But we're rural, so we don't have like Gunderson, La Crosse, they have the facility. So then all of their beds are already contracted through La Crosse County agencies. So then even if you were from just outside like Melrose or even Trempealeau, you're 20 minutes from the hospital. Nope, I can't get a bed. I might have to go across the state, and there's just not of them. So to answer your question, unless you talk to your representatives, and they all know,
Right.
we have to find funding to
Yeah.
get them the resources.
Well, I was just curious if there's, besides the mental health one, if there was any other type of call that is particularly time consuming, regardless of the number that it actually occurs, right? So it's,
Other calls, I mean, your sexual assaults take up a ton of time.
sure.
I don't even know, I was just talking to Jeff, and I have been feels like 2 or 3 hours a day, and it's been going on since May 22nd. So it just feels like all these interviews, forensic interviews, and then all of a sudden there'll be another victim that came forward, and so then you're redoing different forensic interviews. The only other ones could be burglaries, depends on if it's one house, it's actually not too bad, but it's like our storage units, all of a sudden there's 5, 6 of them that got hit, then it takes a while to do the inventory and get through everything.
Appreciate you sharing.
We're not done. We're not done.
Just getting warmed up. He
I
said
got
he's got
two,
4.
I always go on the side. I don't know why.
It hits the hot corner.
Yes. You're right.
Where's he gonna
So
go?
this one is citations. I think we had roughly, I can look it up again, but it was like 700 and some traffic stops in this year so far. 200 of them, 279 were citations. And those are a list of your citations. So if you kind of look at them, they're all over the place. You got failure to signal, to speeding, non-registration, and then the ordinance ones are included in that. So you'll get like a theft from building. You'll get a shoplifting case, which is not a moving vehicle citation, it's an ordinance citation. And then if you look at page 4, 5, and 6, that is your no mow mays. So we had a total of 71 no mow may citations. As of right now, they did just have court again on August 3rd. We got down to 14. I think we only have one that is still pending through jury. So we actually did fairly well.
Just so I understand, that means we went beyond May and they aren't mowing their property and so, okay.
And just for the record, I don't remember what the weather was, but we give a grace period to the 3 days, so it's June 3rd. However, before we got out there, because of where their staffing is, I think it was another 4 days after that. So we're talking June 8th, June 9th is when the officers were actually out there. So they actually had more than a week after no mow May.
Yeah, it looks like the first one was on the 6th. But that, yeah,
I think I said it like was it 4 or 5 months ago? We didn't have 1 or 2 speeding tickets on Main Street. So I've been a pretty big proponent on this. That speed, I mean, there's more traffic, you can't get hardly, it's working. In my opinion, we wanted cars to slow down. I had a grant that we couldn't even find speeding on Main Street. So if you want to say that, I still don't think we had any speeding tickets on Main Street. And we had technically, I can't say it anymore, yesterday, we had our first rear end accident on Main Street since we did the twiddle. Back in your day, you probably had 150 accidents on Main Street. It was just nonstop. And most of them were rear end accidents, people failing to signal and they turn into you because they were turning into culvers. They were just stopped. We actually had our first one, which is amazing if you think about it, for 2 and 3 years. 2 years. 2 years we've had the twiddle, one rear end accident.
thanks. Yeah.
So these are your cases that went to the DA's office and or I guess the citation arrest. So the bomb threat, worthless checks, failure to appear, revoked drug paraphernalia, a lot of bail jumpings, couple sexual assaults.
Looks like everybody got to share in the fun of noxious weed citations.
Yeah.
Spread the joy.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, we're getting closer. Yeah. Blacktop's in, so that was good to get done. There was talk of us starting to move in next week. It's probably going to be maybe into the following week. Just some things tidying up, finishing up. We did move our gear extractors, our washing machines for our bunker gear over on Sunday, and they're getting installed this week. So we're starting to move, but it's going to be slow going. Some hurdles, obviously, as we move, we still have to make sure that we can respond to emergencies, right? And so, trying to figure out the best way to do that to not interrupt that piece of it. So, but it is going well. No real big hurdles to get over. It's just little things, finishing up pieces and parts. So, with any luck, we'll probably move the trucks over maybe the first week in September and at least be operating emergency wise out of it. And then we'll slowly take, another 2 to 4 weeks probably to get everything moved over and put in place. So, other than that, I can't really think. We've got, some of this I was going to talk about in my report, but it fits with the fire station. So we picked that furniture. You guys picked that furniture company, Henriksen. So they've already been there, did a walk through the current station and the new station, get a feel for what we've got and where we're going. And they're working to put together a list of possible options and, for the miscellaneous stuff. And hopefully see that here in the real near future for review and then kind of go from there. So that's moving along. IT, that's been interesting trying to get that stuff up and running and whatever, but they're working through it. So, other than that, unless you have any questions specifically on it, it's, there will be a change order 3. I mentioned that the last time. It should be the final change order. It's not a lot, but there's just some miscellaneous items that have come up, something to do with IT, something, I think we ended up noticing a few doors that didn't have door closers on them that really should, to keep them closed and secure. Although I'm currently working with Devin from Keller to potentially cost share on some of that stuff. So, but anyways, more to come on that, but just so you know, there'll be another one of those coming. Pay request, I believe there's another one coming next week for the council financing or, no.
We always take care of pay requests at the beginning of the month.
Yeah. Sorry.
And then, so there'll be another one delivered on
Yes,
August
yes,
31st.
that must be what I'm thinking. Thank you. Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, unless you have any questions on it, as far as the fire station, I'm,
Slightly off key, but fire station related. Did you ever get that reimbursement for that last?
We did. I did have another question though on the change order number 2. Did we ever finalize that one with all of the things that were on there?
It was sent to Julie for concurrence.
Okay.
yeah.
And I think that's where it continues to sit, which she's working on it.
Okay.
Levi called me the other day about it, left me a message too for reviewing it. I haven't called him back, but he's looked at it and, a lot of it he doesn't probably understand, right? Because he's not involved in the actual conversations, but, yeah. Nope. Yeah, no. So I don't think we talked about National Night. Well, we haven't met since National Night Out. For those of you, some of you maybe were there. It went, I think, great. Beautiful weather. A lot of good conversations. A lot of good interactions. Yeah. So it's always a good event to be a part of and be around the public. So that was a success. I already started talking about moving in slowly into the station. I do have 4 applications that'll be taken to the Police and Fire Commission. Hopefully, Lori, I'm going to have to try and get, I know in the next week or 2, we've got a couple that have been waiting patiently, so I don't want to slow up their excitement about it. So one of them's actually a junior. He's now 18, so he's applying to be a active firefighter, I guess is a good way to put it. And then we've got actually one that's been coming around quite heavily or whatever that I have to officially get through. So anyways, 4, which is great. There is some others that are interested, just kind of waiting for them to make a decision. Call volume, not a lot to say. It's been very consistent with last year. So unfortunately, the number's not going down, but it at least is not skyrocketing like we were seeing it for the last couple years. So it has leveled out, but staying consistent with last year. We did meet with the townships a couple weeks ago, so we're trying to meet with them more often, have a little more open discussion, things like that. Normally, we wouldn't meet with them about the budget until after the city gets to a certain point, but we actually met with them before the city even really started diving into it. Kind of gave them the rundown of what was being looked at, what was maybe being considered, some trends that we're seeing. Talked about capital improvement projects, which nothing's on the docket as of, for next year, but again, keeping them informed and ready for that next capital improvement project on their side. And we also talked a lot about their contract. So I think we've discussed that some, but our contract with the townships hasn't been renewed for, I don't know, 20, 30 years or something. It's a ridiculous amount of time. So currently reviewing that. George went through our current in-place contract, made some changes to reflect kind of the more normal verbiage for today's world. And we made some adjustments on, again, conversations with the towns in the city. Townships took that, reviewed it, sent it back with their changes. For the most part, they're, I think, doable. But I got to get that reworked and then sent off to George to get his guidance and make sure it's healthy for the city. And then eventually we'll bring it back, obviously, to you folks and have you review it and hopefully we can get that finished up soon because we need that in place before 2026 ultimately. So, but yeah, so that's going well. Good conversations, working through some concerns, differences, whatever it might be, and it's going well. Last thing real quickly is some of you probably have had some questions. That's why I'm bringing it up. But we had a pretty big gas leak at Main Street Apartments about a week or two ago. A line got hit by a contractor that was doing some finishing up work there. Required evacuation of the building. Thankfully, it's not heavily filled up yet, but still enough to where there's people on every floor. I guess, it was a real life event, but it was a good drill. It was a good, yep. So no wind was in the right direction, no gas got in the building, but again, still had to go through all the motions. Worked with the PD and the sheriff's department showed up, which was awesome to help, cordon off or go check other areas, help with people coming out of the building. So, so on and so forth with that. So, but just be aware that had happened and those types of events get a little bit of a pucker factor because if it goes sideways, it's not a little sideways, it's completely off the table or whatever. So, but it turned out well. Little education went on with that with some of the residents, but more so the contractor that created the issue. So hopefully we're bigger and better because of it. So questions? Otherwise, I think.
Do you guys as a department go out when a new structure comes up like
Yep.
that and get a good feel for everything?
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, typically, big, especially larger structures, we do at least one good walkthrough before it opens. Sometimes we'll maybe do a smaller secondary walkthrough as far as like the fire officers maybe on some detail type stuff. But yeah, we try and get as many members as possible to be able to get a feel for the layout. And yep. So I did a tour for Tri-State Ambulance too. They had a couple rigs here one day and stopped up, and so I took them in too to give them a feel for layout, numbering, and whatever. So, yeah. So
this is fire related, but I just want to acknowledge that Main Street Apartment was really racing to get that building open. They had leases signed and their construction company didn't necessarily go as well as they should have. And a lot of pressure was put on Chad and Matt Crowell from GEC to basically jump at the drop of a hat to be able to provide inspections as soon as stuff came online. And so the last 2 to 3 weeks, pretty much maybe the entire month of July, was a lot of babysitting that project just to make sure that we were never the holdup. And so I just want to commend Chad and Matt on that because it was really an above and beyond thing that they had to do. And North Point got into a tight spot. Some of it, they're other people's doing, not the cities, but they did a really good job of powering through on that and sort of getting them what they needed to get open, which was great because that got taken care of right before I went on vacation. And then right in the middle of my vacation, I heard there was a gas leak. I was like, well, you win some, you lose some. So whatever.
we've had 3 calls there so far, and it's been a couple of weeks. But the first one is a false alarm. Second one was that gas leak, and then we had a false alarm again today due to construction. They're still doing some work in the commercial, so that's normal. But literally, I think with less than 24 hours of them getting occupancy where they could start opening up the building to the public, less than 24 hours they had their first fire alarm. So I was actually, I think I was gone for that one. I wasn't around, but I get it on my phone, or I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even 20, so again, not a knock or anything, just it happens, right? So, it'll come around with construction still going on. That always adds some layers, right? But, thank you, Nate, for that comment. We work together, we make it work, right? Unique things happen or whatever, and helping them get to where they needed to be, is important. But we did do a lot of extra little mini inspections and a little hand holding and things like that. And we got there. I'm just glad it's not every project because we need about 6 more inspectors or whatever to get through it, but we got her. So anyways, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Rick?
Thank you, John. There's a few things, the website, Corinna has done an amazing job with that. We just added actually all your numbers on there, so the general public, can see all the numbers that I just gave to you, are on our website. That is live. Frequently asked questions and a few other things, that, we've been, think would be paramount for, the police department and the questions that we get called all the time for. But I won't say it's like 90% done, but she has done an amazing job with that. So visit our website. This week is just unions. Unions, as a couple of you guys know, but unions are meeting on Thursday. Budgets, working on the budgets for budget presentation. That's just a few things in my fire. The big ones are, sorry, Lori, I'll slow down a little bit. Oh, you got it? Oh. 2 new hires. So the Police and Fire Commission, we did get 2 new hires. One is Brandon Kenyon. He was down in Grant County, and then he actually went to the DOC, which would be the Department of Corrections, the prison system. That's when they got that extremely high increase probably 3 years ago. So he went for the money, but then they didn't have enough personnel. So he was working like 16-hour days mandatory, got burnt out, wanted always to be a cop, but he went for the money. But he misses being in law enforcement, so we stole him from the prison system. The other one is Connor Gates. His dad is Scott Gates, which would be the Madison Matt, and then his grandpa Frank Wayne was the council and school board. So got a local kid. Hopefully we can steal him. He is in the academy as of right now, so you won't see him till the academy graduates on October 11th. But Brandon starts on Monday, so we'll go through the field training process with him. And he's pretty much brand new, even though he did have a little bit of years on in Grant County. We'll kind of treat him like he's a brand new officer again. So I don't know when we'll cut him loose, probably a little late October-ish. But it's exciting. It's actually exciting with even the guys in the office, because they actually can see like there's a light at the tunnel right now. So that extremely helps them. Chad mentioned National Night Out. We did that this month. We did Touch a Truck, which is just kind of show squad cars to local kids at different businesses. The last one was at O'Reilly's. The only last 2 things I have is just the pursuit. If there was any questions with that started with multiple felony warrants and stolen property at the pawn store. Made contact. He tried to run over our officer, who was they were actually entering the pawn store, did not have a description of them. They were walking out, and then all of a sudden, no, they just left. As the 2 officers were walking out, they actually tried to hit them with the car. So then we ended up just finding them yesterday in Rochester. So he actually was in the cornfields. We got the drones out, worked very well with State Patrol and Vernon County, and then the drone team. The only reason we didn't find him is there was a camper in the middle of the woods, and he was underneath it. So the infrared did not catch him. So he stole a 4-wheeler and then stole the town of Wheatland truck, and we got all that stuff back here yesterday. So that was a high-induced case involved, but we got him. It's great. And then the only other one the mayor actually brought up, asked me to talk about, if anyone was asking, we purchased 2 speed boards last year. One of them is up, but then the other one was on the city. Was going to be on the city electrical. We're converting into the solar panel. The only reason that's not up yet is actually part of it's me, part of it's just our CIP has not been approved yet. So to save with shipping everything else, because this year we have the CIP for 2 more speedboard signs, they're going to ship the conversion kit with that. So whenever that gets approved, then you'll see all 4 of them up. So just wanted to keep you updated. It goes, no, I'm not sitting on one or anything like that. It's just waiting for the CIP to be approved. So unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Second period for public comment. No one is there, and motion to adjourn would be in order.
This is Seth. I make a motion, we adjourn.
This is Crystal, I'll second.
Moved by Seth, second by Crystal, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. I think we get one more.